What is up, Cobra Kai fans? Welcome back to the channel. I have a very exclusive interview with Paulo, the game director and head of development for Cobra Kai 2 Dojos Rising. Paulo, thank you so much for doing this. It's going to be so cool to talk to you about the game.
Hi there, Shamo. Thank you for inviting me. It's a pleasure to be here. Excited to talk with this really cool community that we love and we follow very closely while developing the project. And I'm very excited to tell a little bit more about the game.
For sure. So, Paulo from Sao Paulo, aka Kratos. I mean, when I first saw you, that's the first thing I thought. So, the success of the first game, Cobra Kai, the Karate Kid saga continues. How did you feel about going into this game? Because after such a positive, success with that last game, how are you feeling with this one?
So it was really cool. Working in the first game was kind of a dream come true in a sense that we were fans of the original movies, and the show was still on YouTube, like on the early days of the show. And I actually didn't know the show when we first heard about the possibility of doing this project. Then I went to YouTube. Okay, let me see a couple episodes here, see what this is about. And the next thing I know, I binge watched a couple seasons in one night, and I was a huge fan already. We gotta do this game. Then when things worked out, and Flux Games was selected to develop the game, it was kind of a dream come true because we always loved beat 'em ups like Streets of Rage, Double Dragon, old school stuff, and we had the opportunity to do one with this amazing IP that's very on spot with that style of game, and also with so much content that we can create upon. So we were very excited. When the game was successful, was well received by the community. We saw that the tiny details that we put our hearts there to get into the game were noticed. That is really cool as a developer. As any creative professional, you put a lot of heart into what you do, right? So seeing that acknowledgement of the things we do and some praise to it gave us a lot of energy for the second game. So we wanted to really have a game that's a sequel in all of the criteria you can think. It's not just the same thing again. It's an upgrade. Like now the game is 3D. You have way more characters that you can control. You have a lot of story. You have 3 dojos, not only 2. Now we have Eagle Fang also. So it's become something that we just enjoy so much working with this IP and transforming the really amazing TV show into gameplay is something that we just discovered that we love to do, and especially with Cobra Kai because we know how fans are really into it, and we are too. So it just clicks, and it's so much fun. A lot of little details that we can talk a little bit about during this conversation. I'm sure people will love it.
The great thing about not just this game is a great service for Cobra Kai fans. It's the fact you have the cast involved as well. And, you guys got to work with a lot more than this time around. And, that really adds to the appeal for the game and obviously the scope of it, because you really feel immersed in this universe. And that's great that you were big fans of the show before the first game. But, okay, before I actually ask you about the game, who is your favorite character? You have one.
Ooh, yeah. I have a very strong opinion. I really like Johnny. I'm a Johnny fan.
Love that.
I really like. I have so much fun with all his throwbacks to the '80s and his I don't know how to behave in current society thing. It's really whenever he's out of place and says something kind of blunt. It's just I love it. Like I'm 4 years old, so I can relate to some of that. And I just crack. Like it's so he's so funny and just such a great actor. I really enjoy Johnny. I have lots of characters that I like, but if I have to name one, it's Johnny.
I mean, everybody loves Johnny. So tell me, when you're part of the development of this game and you get to work with characters like you really like, especially like Johnny, how does that feel, being able to that responsibility there to create this character and make them as best as you can possibly for the game?
Yeah, that's a great question because you know what? One funny thing is that you need to be mindful of not getting your personal taste affect too much of the balance of the game. Because I would make Johnny like the strongest character,
Yeah.
but I kind of can't do that because it's just my favorite character. we have fans of every other character there. So we need to balance it out. So we had to, at many points, we had to have a little discussion with the team. Say, hey, this guy's a little bit too powerful, right? Oh, but I like him so much. Yeah, but okay, let's try to find a balance there. So, like Daniel says, we need to find a balance in things, right? And that's one of the key things here. So the responsibility is big from a fan standpoint and from a creative professional standpoint. So what we usually like to do is try to get attention to details. So what's this character about, or is there something about this character is not so obvious that we can maybe bring to the game, and fans will really enjoy seeing that. Oh, I know that, like some sort of Easter eggs or things like that. So I have one simple example. One character that I really like to is Devon. So Devon Lee, great character, and we did this before season 5, right? She became a real badass in season 5, but season 4 she was kind of a smaller role, but she was already like kicking ass in the debate team and all those things. So when you recruit her and you can get to her as a playable character, one of her special attacks is kind of based on that whole debate team past, and she just screams something which is ad hominem, which is a type of argument that it's a bad type of argument. It's just ad hominem. There, the giant letters there, ad hominem, and go there, and it's just something that we're just mixing up her debate skills with her fighting skills and bringing something just for the fun of it. And it's just like the giant letters hurting your enemies. It's kind of nonsense, but it's so much fun, and it's really into the character because she's so smart. Besides being a great fighter, so it's really cool to have the opportunity to do something like that and get creative with the characters.
Like, that's what fans love, is the details, because we see this in the show, right? All the little details, the Easter eggs, the throwbacks to, you know, the original Karate Kid, and I think that's awesome. I love hearing the dedication to that. When you're creating these characters, do you always try and make their personality shine as much as possible as they're fighting? Because that's obviously a very big part of who they are.
Yeah, for sure, because that's also what you expect as a player, right? If you recruit Stingray, sorry, you know that Stingray is not the most finesse fighter. Like, he fights his own style, like, kind of blunt. And I remember on season 2, episode 10, the school brawl, and he's like butt attack someone into the locker, and things like that. So that's the sort of thing that we need to pick up to create his fighting style. So he's got this attack, he just jumps and boom, butt slams into the ground, which is kind of like a Mario Bowser-like attack, but it really fits the character, right? It's pretty much Stingray fighting and doing those things, and it's really cool to create that. And we toyed a little bit with a feature in the game, because you can get skills from one character and assign to other characters. Nate or Bert, those little tiny characters, doing the butt slam too. So you just mix and match things, and it's really funny. And one of the coolest things is just try it out, and they all perform the attacks in very fun or funny ways sometimes. So you can do that, like a very serious character doing this butt slam, which is not in character, but it comes from a character that it makes sense. And then it's all like in that magic circle of playing and having fun.
Did you get to work like quite closely with the cast for any input with the characters? Obviously, they voiced it.
We had a lot of close input from the writing team of the show. So we had regular meetings discussing the script of the game and how each character would react to each of the situations they see themselves in. So there was a very, very interesting part, because first of all, it's really cool to work with such talented people like the writing team from Cobra Kai. They're all really great writers, and they know about games too. So it's not like they don't know what they're talking about. They're really into games, so they made an effort to help us create a better story suited for the game, but still in the IP. So all the script went very closely with the writers to be sure that we're on brand and we don't do anything that feels odd or out of place. And then after the script was ready and we went for the recording sessions, then it's a really cool experience to just connect with those talented actors and actresses. And it's really for me it's even hard for you to be totally professional, because you're such a fan of the guys,
right?
And then you're doing a job here, right? So we need to focus and get it done. and everything worked really fine. It was really cool because the script is quite long. There's a lot of content in the game. The game is large. There's a lot to do. 3 dojos, 3 different like storylines that you can. They're kind of the same, but with different flavors to it. When we were recording, we're a little bit concerned. I don't know if it's gonna be able to record everything in 4 hours because that's the time we had. But they're such professionals. Like they nailed it in general. Like I remember some of the guys. The first recording was with Cholo Mario Miguel.
My favorite character.
He's just amazingly talented. He got into the studio. It took like 30 seconds to get in character, and then he was already recording stuff. And I think he probably plays games too because he understood several of the little things that we were pointing out and just directing a little bit to get the best out of the session. And like he recorded everything. We were still like 40 minutes left. It was really cool, and it's great to see them like all the things that we worked for several months to write and to get to a point. Then they come and bring it to life. It's so rewarding, and you get to see in the game when the voiceover, like when we remove the placeholder voice that like our team recorded and get the actor voice there, the game just booms, jumps in quality. It's so amazing. And also, it's pretty rewarding that I'm pretty sure that they all had fun recording it. I remember on the first game that we also had Jacob doing Hawk in the first game too, and he's back on this game. I remember vividly, like we were waiting for him to arrive. He was in a studio in LA. It was during COVID and all the things. Everybody was remote, and then we were okay. Let's start recording. Everybody was kind of focused, trying to get some concentration, and he like saw the mic and then, Cobra Kai is in the house. And we were all right. Let's do this. So we were all like no ice broken. Everything just ran smoothly from there. And session this time was just as good as that. They're really good actors, and I think it adds a whole layer of just immersion in the game when you have them doing the voices because they're so good, and we love the characters. It's all about the characters, right? In the end, so it's pretty cool.
That's awesome. You got to work so closely with everybody because you can really feel more respect with the game. Like you guys have really gone to that attention to detail and to that level working with the creators, and obviously they brought this all back, so we have to give them a big thank you for that. But that is so great that you were able to work with them, and I'm so glad because like their input would have been so valuable to you and whilst you're developing the game. After the first game, like what did you want to achieve with this second game? Obviously you got extra features. I mean, all the features of the game with the story, the multiplayer, which I can't wait to play with friends. And you got way more characters. There's obviously more locations in the game. You can manage your own dojo. Adding all these new features, like what did you want to achieve with this new one?
That's a great question. What we were aiming for, the first thing is just to get a jump from 2D side scroller to 3D environment. And that's a huge thing game development wise. It's a lot more difficult, a lot trickier. Like when you jump from 2D to 3D, the amount of issues that can happen and just the things you need to be mindful of, it's not proportional. It's like a whole world of new challenges that you need to face. So we were up for that challenge, and that's what we wanted to do. Let's get Cobra Kai into a 3D world. That was one of the things. Another thing was, so the show was just spreading its roster. Each season that goes by, lots of characters, new characters appearing, or characters that had minor roles expanding a little bit. So we really knew that it was all about the characters. So let's get a lot of characters in this game. Like people will want to be able to play as Miguel, as Hawk, but maybe as Stingray, as some minor characters like Chris or Mitch. And we really felt that this was the way to go to just double down. Like we had 8 playable characters the first game. It's already a lot, but then we just went double down on that bat, and we have all like not all the characters, of course, but all the characters, the most important characters that were there until season 4. Right. They're in the game, doing something over there. Unfortunately, we don't have the season 5 characters, because of the way the development cycle versus the show. The show, I think, was a little bit earlier than it used to go every December, January, right? And then this time it was pulled to September. So we don't have all the season 5 characters that we wished we had, but it's okay. We have so many cool characters there, so we wanted to expand on that character thing. Another thing we wanted to do was to somehow have All Valley tournament there. That was an important thing in the game, because the first game we did have just a stage there, but it wasn't really a competition. Now we do have a whole moment in the story that you go there to the All Valley with the characters you recruited to your dojo, and you select the best fighters, because it's just, if not, it would be too long. You just select the best fighters, go there, play it, to win it, and then you get to the final portion of the game afterwards. So it's really cool, and it was kind of a game within the game, because that's a 1v1 fight situation, and from a game design perspective, it's really different when you play one versus many, as opposed to one versus one. And so we went to a light approach. So it's not like you're gonna play a Street Fighter or Mortal Kombat or something super technical and precise. It's a more casual gameplay. So you go, you fight. It's kind of fast paced, but you can score points if you knock them out of the arena. You can score points if you take them down a number of times, or you can score points if you actually knock them out with a really blowing strike. So it's a little bit different. The rules are a little bit different, and it's really fun to play locally. It's a blast to play locally. Like if you have someone over and just go. The roster is so large, because it's like 28, I guess.
Yeah, 28.
Characters. So there's a lot of characters, and it's fun to, okay, let's try this against this, and just enjoy it. It's really fun. We wanted to have that aspect into the game too. So we're really hoping to, like, if I want to summarize this, we wanted to upgrade the experience in every way that we could. The game is large. It's not perfect. There are some issues there, but we know that it's a really great experience, and fans of the show are gonna love all of the little details that we put there with each character, like their lines, the way they behave. There are some little quizzes there that you need to answer some stuff. Just some fun things for show fans, and also for non-shows alike, because the game is supposed to be fun for everyone. Who knows about Cobra Kai? We will enjoy a little bit more. We understand some of the references and the Easter eggs, but it's supposed to be a game for everyone. It's easy to pick up and play. If you want to button mash your way through the game, you probably can. But if you play better, it's more exciting, and you get those amazing combos and all those things going on. It's really fun.
That's great, because this game is going to appeal to obviously a much younger audience and people my age. I mean, I love games. I love fighting games. When you mentioned Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat, I want to have that sort of immersion. So you really get into it. The tournament mode. Did you kind of want to add an aspect to it that not only you wanted to do that you didn't with the first game, but to sort of fulfill that that gameplay, because you went from 2D to 3D.
So it's not pixel perfect. We didn't aim to do that. That's a very difficult genre to develop. So if you're going to do a fighting game, a really like Mortal Kombat or Street Fighter, those games, they require a level of precision and balance that is not what we aim for here. We're aiming for a more casual, just enjoy beating each other up with karate rules.
Just as simple as you can, basically.
Yes.
But keeping it fun.
Completely honest with you, if you were to develop a Cobra Kai fighting game in the mode like Mortal Kombat or Street Fighter, it's a 3-year project just doing that. So because it's that difficult to do and to get it right. And that's why so few developers actually do fighting games. It's a little bit niche, and it's also very difficult to get it right. We have tried to do fighting games in the past. It was it was fun. We were in Evo and all those things, just showcasing our game. Had a lot of fun doing that, but we learned some lessons about fighting games. So when we got to this one, we said, okay, let's not make it a fighting game in the proper sense of it. It's like this fighting experience with a more casual approach that you can just enjoy and have fun with a simpler mechanic that doesn't take itself too seriously as like pixel perfect and frame counting fighting games.
Much as I do love an idea of, like because based off the games I would play, just to see the Cobra Kai characters in this way, I mean, I'd love to see that in the future, but like you said, it would take quite a while to achieve that. And I'm
Yeah.
sure there's other things in between that would make it difficult. But this game, like, despite it, like, being very casual, like, there's a lot to it. There's a big story mode. So what have you added to this story mode that, goes one and beyond the previous game?
So there's the whole. I think the biggest feature in that sense is the recruiting mechanics. So you pick a dojo. You start Cobra Kai, Eagle Fang, or Miyagi-Do. You choose one. You get two fighters from the start. The sensei and what we call like a star character. So you get Johnny and Miguel. You get Sam and Daniel, and you get Tori and Chris. Because this was before Chris went to jail.
Right.
So you start with those, and then you set out to recruit fighters in the valley. Then you go to each level you go to. There are 2, 3, 4 characters you can recruit to your dojo. They have their own criteria. Sometimes it's just beat them and they join your dojo. Sometimes it's like a different thing. For example, to recruit Chris, you get to the arcade and mini golf. He's working there because he has a job there. And then he's like, oh man, I just got these chairs and tables cleaned up. Please don't destroy them. Don't make too much of a mess. And then you have a fight there with those chairs. And if you break them because you like threw someone there and go there, so you have like 100 chairs. If you break more than 50%, then he doesn't join your dojo. But if you manage to keep it tidy and just have a clean fight, he joins your dojo. Then you can play Chris, and he's got his own special moves. So that whole dynamic of recruiting characters, bringing to your dojo, then you have a larger roster. You can pick whoever you want to send to a mission. And you can also, as I mentioned earlier, grab their skills and just set them on a different character. You can equip up to 4 skills at once. So you can pick the ones that you find best and have your character just powered up as you like. That's a very, very unique thing you got in story mode. Unique from many other games too. It's also something that's not very common to see in games. And just build your empire instead, but in this case a dojo, and have fun with all those characters. I think that's one of the coolest parts of the story. Another thing that we enjoyed in this is just the writing and the script of the game. Whoever likes it, this is especially for show fans. It's fun. It's been written. It's like you're going through some alternate universe episodes. Like it's the same characters with their same personalities, and many of them with the same actor or actress. So it's really cool to just enjoy a little bit of Cobra Kai while we wait for season 6, hopefully.
Right.
And that's something that it's very enjoyable.
So is it almost like an extension of the series? Like that's how you want the game to feel, like whilst fans wait for season 6?
It's almost like that. The way it was built, it's like a more or less like a what if scenario. The story goes like this: so Chosen arrived. It takes place right when Chosen arrived in the United States, in the ending of season 4. So Chosen is like, let's see how we got into this situation. Let's see what happened. And I start reminiscing and thinking about it. What if it was like this or like that? So we take a more creative approach. Like this opens up some possibilities. So what if Kyler was in Miyagi-Do? Like what? And then it's but you can do that. It's hard, but you can do that in the game.
I can't wait to see that.
Kyler into Miyagi-Do. So and we made it on purpose more difficult. It's really easy to recruit Kyler on Cobra Kai, but it's very difficult on Miyagi-Do.
Oh, okay. So it's sort of like would it be harder if I tried to get Miguel and Robby in the same dojo, and sort of like if it's Sam and Tori in one dojo, would that?
It's not specifically regarding each character. It's just like this character with the dojo, regardless of who's in the dojo. Kyler into any old dojo, there is not Cobra Kai. It's difficult. Tori and Sam, they don't even leave their dojos. It's just they're bound to their characters that will never change. But then Dimitri is also hard to go to Cobra Kai. So those things that that they don't fit, it's supposed to be a little bit more difficult. But for characters that are not so prominent in the series, then it's the same criteria for everyone for scope reasons. But there are those tiny little things that we try to get there to make it more in sync with what the show tells us. The story is not canon. Just play with what could have happened if this happens and if that happens. And one of the things that we took the opportunity to do is dive a little bit deeper in the story of some secondary characters. For example, there's a level where you learn about Brucks, and we came up with a story that he, deep down, he always just wanted to be a writer. So there's a whole story that tells about him trying to be a writer, but then is like brought to this bully way of life with Kyler and all those things. So there are some funny, tiny little bits of story with each level you go tells a little bit of a story of a character that is there. Not necessarily the most important character for the show, but it took the opportunity to just develop a little bit on stories on secondary characters to have fans enjoying some more content there that probably wouldn't make to the TV show.
Other characters, like you said, that we hardly get to see as much from or haven't seen in a while, because we haven't seen Brucks since season 3. So I'm guessing the creators, did they have like a big say on how to make these characters' stories go in the game?
Yes, we do have to. We worked worked as a team in coming up with the best ideas that suited, because there are lots of things to juggle here. Like, we don't want to spoil things that are going to happen in the show.
Right.
We don't want to take that away from the show. And in the meantime, we want to bring something meaningful. So that's why we very early in the project, we came up with this concept of let's explore other characters that wouldn't have the same screen time. Almost as if you think as a spin-off. It's not that deep. It's just a short content, but it's fun. It's like these illustrations with very nice art style that take place there. But it was an opportunity to explore something that wouldn't be in any sort of conflict with the main show, but also provide some depth and some cool information about characters that we do like, even though they're not as important for the whole main arch of the story as some other ones. So yeah, but it was really written with the show to get to this. We couldn't spoil things like Mike Barnes coming back, things like that. So Mike Barnes specifically is not in the game, and because that was something for the season 5, was a very important season 5 thing, as we all learned when the season came out.
Right.
So that wasn't in the game, but other things we could explore. It's just a process of coming up with ideas and discussing with the writers and coming back and getting to a point where we all feel comfortable with the quality of the content we're creating, and also while preserving all the things that they have in place for future of the show.
A big part of games, as you already know, is DLC. This game, like you said, we can't play as Mike Barnes. The Nemesis Edition, we get playable characters, Terry Silver being part of that. This is a simple game, casual for fans. Can we expect a little bit more extra content to come after the game's release with DLCs, with extra characters to play, maybe extra story?
Love to do that. And we're really excited to see how the game is received by the fans and all that. So we would love to dive into that. I can't confirm or deny anything at this point.
Okay.
But it's just something. This game has so much room for more content, because the IP is so exciting, and so many great things that happened in season 5, and then that we can explore from the franchise as a whole. It's definitely in discussions, but I can't confirm or deny anything at this point.
Yeah, understandable. At least I asked. Because I love the idea of how much you've expanded from 8 to 28 characters, and with the story mode, going to that a little bit, do we have multiple endings? Because it feels very much like it's got a little bit more depth to this story, with being able to choose your path with the dojos and the characters.
Yes, that's a great question. And the answer is yes, we do have multiple endings. So depending on some of the choices you make and the alliances you make, I won't get into too much detail, but depending on some choices you make, mostly on the latter part of the game, it changes. There are 6 different endings. There are a couple different endings for each dojo. So if you play, let's play Miyagi-Do, and you get there to the end, there's one ending if you make one choice, or another ending if you make a different choice, and the same apply for all 3 dojos. So all in all, there are 6 endings, and it's really fun to explore that. We wanted to, of course, at some point we wanted to have like 20 different endings, but that
Yeah.
just it's just not feasible for a game of this scope. So we managed to squeeze in just some differences there to make it more rewarding on the choices you make to just have an impact on the ending.
You're saying about the gameplay, how it's simple, it's casual, so fans can button mash and all that. But how much do you add to the like? Is there like a new set list of moves for characters to add to more of the gameplay and just to expand on what you had previously with characters?
Great question. So in game development, there's one concept that is very commonly followed, which is easy to play and hard to master. That's usually what you want with a game. Like we don't want like an entry barrier to be too tall, and then people just like this is too hard, too difficult. But we don't want it to just get boring because you already know everything. So you do have progression as you progress through the game. Each you can upgrade each character. There are many things you can upgrade there. You can equip some accessories that buff a little bit, like a little bit more HP or a little bit more damage, and you can do all those things. You can also upgrade each and every skill in the game. You have like a regular version and a mastery version, which is kind of like there are some challenges regarding that specific skill. For example, let's say Joan has got the sweep the leg kick.
Sweep the leg.
Finish 100 enemies with sweep the leg. Once you do that, you get sweep the leg plus, and it's just a stronger version with some fire going out and all those things. And you have to earn it. So those you don't buy with currency, you just earn it. You have to use that skill, so you're mastering that skill, and then you got that. So there's a lot of depth to gameplay to players that actually want to dive into that. And for those who don't want to, just skip that and just keep playing. It's okay. but me personally, I love that kind of things. It's really important to have those little things to keep doing, some challenges to keep going. There's a bunch of challenges to complete in the game. Like in the first game, we had that too. So we brought that feature back, and you just go and keep progressing, keep getting your fighters stronger, so you can improve their health, can improve there's a little let's say it's not a skill tree because this doesn't got branches, more like a skill line that you go and you upgrade all the characters, and you just keep getting them more powerful. So there's a lot to that, and gameplay wise, the moment to moment gameplay is a very important thing for us. So like each punch should feel right, should feel good, and when you land that special attack and boom, lots of people are hurt by it, it's really cool. Like that's something we put a lot of effort into getting that right, and into getting the special effects to feel rewarding, and you're just like, cool, I want to do that again, and you keep on doing all the cool moves you can do. So specifics, just to get you a little bit of detail, every character in the game has 2 unique skill attacks. So whenever you recruit whatever character, they've got 2 attacks that only they have, and those were the ones designed thinking on the character, right? Thinking of, like I mentioned, Devon Lee's and or Stingrays. Each character has their own, and as you build your dojo, you get more skills that you can build your fighter roster up on, and that's how you start to get a more personalized, like customized gameplay. Every character has got their own combos, which it's not like everybody's got 10 unique punches. Some of them are just shared between some characters, but the way they flow is quite unique. And another thing that's cool is we split characters. We divided them into 3 categories, like fast, balanced, and heavy characters. So you got those heavy hitters that are like a little bit slower, jump a little bit less, move a little bit slower, but they pack a punch whenever you hit, like Kreese or even Johnny. Those guys are stronger. Really fast characters like Nate and Bert. And so those guys they're like just tiny flies that go around and go very quickly. And have the balanced characters like Miguel or Robby. They're just all around good fighters. They pack some punch, they have some speed, but they're in between the other 2. So we got the roster and divided into these 3 categories, and they dodge differently. Like the fast characters, they dodge with an animation, they go further, it's easier to dodge stuff. as with the heavy character, they just like do a spin move that's a little bit slower, doesn't go too far, so you might be in more trouble if there's an area of attack thing coming your way. If you're a fast character, you just boom, zoom out really quickly. But if, with this heavy character, you're probably in for some damage.
I love that. I know you said like the gameplay is like, it's simple and casual, but like it's still quite technical, which I like. Like, the fact you have different dodge speeds, the level of skill, power. I love that. It makes it so much more fun when you're fighting because you really understand how the characters work if they are fighting another enemy.
That's important, right? Because and that's one of the important challenges of developing games, right? Who's your audience? And we're talking about Cobra Kai here. It's a huge audience. There are so many different people. There are lots of hardcore gamers that love Cobra Kai. There are lots of casual gamers that love Cobra Kai. So it's a very broad target audience that we had for this game. That's why we made a big effort into not neglecting any of those things. Of course, there are some features that are catered thinking of an audience that other audiences will not even care. And that goes for all the game. Like there's people that don't really care about narrative. They don't care about the story. They just want to play. And there are people that narrative is the most important thing in the game. So we need to balance that out again with Daniel teaching here.
Yes, with Daniel.
Balance that out and find how can we do the best job that we can into making the game feel fun for such a broad audience. And it's a big challenge, and it's also it's an honor to be able to do that for such a large audience, because when you see like developing games nowadays, one of the hardest things is to get people to play your game if you're like an independent developer doing your own stuff, and then you make a great game, but I don't know, 1,000 people play it, and you're like, oh, but it was such a great game. On this case, it's the opposite, because we have the audience is huge for the show, and we're building the game, and it's so rewarding, and I'm so thankful for being able to with the great team that we have create this game that I know that many people are gonna play it, and they're gonna see all the cool stuff that we did. They're gonna be angry with some things that they don't like, and that's so important to just have people playing your game. That's why I started in this career, right? To have people playing the games that we do. So yeah, it's really fun to be able to do that. I feel very privileged in a position that, of course, took a lot of work to be able to do something like this. And me and the team, we just worked so hard on the game. And even though it's not perfect, it's really cool, and I hope everybody's gonna love it.
Right, like fans definitely will get something really cool out of this game, and I can't wait to play it as much as I've spoken to you now, Paulo. I mean, there's one thing I definitely need to ask you about is the classic mode, and the fact you can relive epic moments from the show. Now, there's so many great moments in the show, so that must have been a pretty hard process to pick certain moments. So how many moments can we sort of expect, and how relative is that to the story?
All right, yeah, that's a great question. It was very, very difficult. I personally really like that game mode, and I wanted to create like 20 different, but of course it was impossible. We came down to finding out what would be, if we can pick one, what would be, and we discussed that a lot. That the one that we felt was the most important to be there was the school fight, the school brawl from season 2, episode 10. The one when Miguel falls off the rails, because that was such an iconic moment in the show, and we wanted to get. So that was the first one. So that one got in. When that got in, and that's a large fight, like it's a long fight. It's a large level, let's say. So that's there, and that's really fun to play, and it's very exciting to just be on that school and with those characters and just reliving that story. It's really fun. We wanted to get something with Johnny and Daniel because of their relationships, the heart of the show, right? So we wanted to get something with them, and then we went back to the first time they teamed up and played and fought on the same team against those guys on the chop shop when they were looking for Robby.
That's epic.
In season 3, they're following that guy with the car, and they get there. And there's this bunch of guys with chains and all those things. So we got that fight there. So because it's the first time that Johnny and Danny are in the first team, so we thought it was an iconic moment to get there, and it's also fun. And those fights are hard. They're not meant to be the first thing you do when you get the game. You can do that, of course, but you're probably gonna die a lot to get through. And as you understand the game mechanics, playing story mode, then you get an extra challenge on that one. So they are meant to be difficult. They're not meant to be that specific part. As we mentioned, some features are for different audiences. That's a more difficult one, and yeah, but it's a lot of fun. Like when you played it, that's personally I love the school level. I love the fight as a whole, and it's really cool. So those are the two we have in the game right now. That is something that we also talked about. Maybe we can do more or less, and let's see what comes our way in the future.
So is there like more than two, or is it literally just those?
No, it's two. It's those two. Yeah, it's
Okay,
those two
cool.
for now. But it takes a while to get through them. Like
I can imagine.
It's a bunch of content because the school fight in itself it's already long and it's difficult. So we really it's kind of like think of as a late game thing, like an end game feature when you have those extra bosses in Final Fantasy or something like that.
Right.
It's not the same thing, but it's kind of the same approach. And that's kind of how we approach the Cobra Classics thing.
Will the single and multiplayer mode be crossplay, so you can play friends from different consoles while you're playing online?
Unfortunately, it's not. It's not. We dived a little bit into that, and we realized there wouldn't be enough time to develop like that. Maybe in the future, who knows? Or we learned a lot with this one, and maybe in the future we can do something like that. But on this one, no, it's just per platform. If you play one console, you need to play with friends in that same console.
I cannot wait to play the classic mode. I mean, hey, I want to play single player, multiplayer, story mode. I can't wait to actually manage my own dojo. I mean, I'm gonna feel more like a sensei than I ever have.
Yeah.
And I love this classic mode, but yeah, I really can't wait to play this game. I mean, I think fans are gonna be very excited after hearing everything you've just said. How does it feel to have worked on this game, being so passionate about Cobra Kai, and being able to deliver something on the gaming aspect for fans of the series?
It's kind of dream come true in a sense that, like the journey is very long to get to this situation. So Flux is a company that started 10 years ago. We did a lot of things, and companies they have to do a lot to survive in their first years, right? After they get some traction and get things going. But all the way, what we wanted to do was what we're doing right now. It's like doing console games for PlayStation, Xbox, Switch, some great IPs and things that people will actually play and enjoy. So it feels really good from many perspectives, from a professional perspective, in a sense that we're working with something that's very important and very rewarding. From a personal perspective, that I'm working with one of the IPs that I was a fan when I was a kid, and I love the show and being able to work with talent like Billy Zabka or Macchio or Martin Kov. Was the opportunity to be around those guys and work together in a project. It's so rewarding. I'm very thankful, and I know how lucky and privileged I and the team are to be able to do this. So it feels really good, and it ignites a passion that's so good. I really wish that all people could work with something they like as much as we love working with game development and Cobra Kai at the same time.
Right.
And I know it's a privilege. It's not something that's not how the entire world works, but all the more for us to be grateful and just be thankful for everything that happens in this, and being able to work on this project and get it done and ship it and have people playing it all around the world. There's also the physical media, which is kind of a little, if you want to collect action figures or things like that, it's kind of have your own physical media of the game. It's also very cool for us as developers. So it's pretty exciting.
I can only imagine the future ideas you have for the next game and just what you want to add and just, expand on what's been great about this game. And honestly, I can't wait to see what you guys do for the future. I mean, obviously I haven't played the game yet, but as soon as I can, I'm going to be doing that. Paulo, thank you so much for coming on, for explaining the game, the features, and answering all these questions. It's been a blast talking to you, and thank you so much.
Appreciate. Thank you so much for inviting, for the opportunity. Love talking to a fellow fan.
Hello, Cobra Kai.
It's just so easy, right? We just have fun while doing it. So thank you so much for the opportunity. I hope you enjoyed the game. I hope the people watching us like it too and have a good time with it. We put our hearts into it, and it's really supposed to be a very, very exciting experience for the fans and non-fans alike. So thank you so much for the opportunity.
Check out the game. It's going to be out on the 8th of November. So make sure that you buy this game and let us know what you think. When I play this game, I'm going to have a lot of fun. I'm going to be playing a lot with my mates online. We've already said about the tournament mode, and I can't wait to kick some ass as Miguel and Johnny too.
All right, very cool. Well, enjoy and let me know. I'll be happy to hear your comments.